me clearly? Can hear me clearly in the comments? Let me can hear me. Can you hear me clearly? Are you ready for today's session? Can you hear me clearly? Let me know in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Can you hear me clearly? I want to see the energy in the comment section. Can you hear me clearly? Let me see it in the comments that you can hear me. Let me see in the comments that you can hear me. Fantastic. Amazing, amazing. Let me see it in the comments. Okay, let me see to the comments. Can you hear me clearly? Today's session, and today is the third day for this session, for this pre-conference session, and we're so excited because for day one we had amazing speakers. Day one we had, Fidelis, we had Val, we had I think Chika, yes. Who else do we also have that? Then Holy Sidabo, exactly. So we had them on day one, share amazing things, that has helped us through this particular phase. And I believe that you got value. I believe you got value. Yesterday we had Chamaka Joyce. We had, I think for day one, we also had Debbie share with us. And then for day two, we had Chamaka Joyce, we had Blursin Okebe, we had Nonso, and they came with the full fire. I believe that you got value from yesterday's session, right? And then today we are going to be having another set of fantastic people. These people are going to be bringing the fire again, and they're going to be sharing lots of things based on their perspective. And I believe that this is not a session you want to miss. I need you to share this video so that someone would know that something like this is happening so they can also join us, and then invite somebody, tag somebody that needs to know more about this session, that needs to follow up with this session. Okay, so I need you to follow through with this, and while we get started, while we get ready for this, I need you to tag somebody, share this video so that they can follow through, right? Quickly do that so that we can get started. And while we are at that, I would want to invite you for something very beautiful, very exciting, very demure, right? So I would need you to just watch this. All right. So if you can hear me, I want to be sure that my voice is clear. Can you hear me? Let me also know where you're watching this from. Let me know if you can also know where you're watching from. Okay. Okay, so I can see Lesh. Let's say that she's watching from the city of Sokoto. Good, so good to have you here. Chikalaba says she's joining from Abuja. Wow, so you're joining in our event location. Beautiful. Adora says she can hear me loud and clear, and she's joining all the way from the city of Abuja. Amazing, so beautiful. All right, great. So we're going to go right into today's session. Please let me know if my voice is clear. I'm trying to spot certain things to be sure that my voice is loud and clear. Can you hear me clearly? All right, so for today's session, we have amazing people on board. Yesterday, like I said, we had some of the brightest mind, and today they would also, okay. So yeah, so before I come on with the camera, I want you to, get prepared and tag somebody. So I will be coming on board right away. So be sure that you have tagged somebody, that you have called somebody to join us. Right. So boom, we're going to be having 5 persons today that will also be sharing more about what they are currently doing, share with you some of the journey, the lessons they have learned in the course of their journey, and more importantly, so that you can also be able to, pick some lessons, the things that are going to help you in the course of your own journey, right? So if this is something that you need, which I also know that you need, I would need you to get somebody on board. Let them join us right away for today's session. Okay, so I'm going to be having some of our speakers come on board right away, and I'm going to be having Tonia. Hi, Tonia, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So good to have you here, Tonia. Good
Thank
evening.
you. So great to have you
All
here.
right, thank you. So the next person I'm going to be having is Chinaza. Hi, Chinaza, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
So good to have you here. Yes, I can. All right. So we're also going to be having Rosemary. Hi, Rosemary. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, Rosemary. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. Hi, Rosemary. Can you hear me? Okay. So I can't hear Rosemary. So hopefully she gets to join us and I would get to hear her clearly. Okay, so let's get right into today's session. We're so excited about the conversations we've been having over the days, right? We started on Wednesday and we had amazing facilitators come on board. So, hi, Chika, is it possible to turn off your mic? Thank you. Great. So we're going to be having amazing people. We're going to be also having Samuel, you see, who is going to be joining us right away. Okay. Hi, Rosemary. Can you hear me? Is it possible to turn off your mic? Hi, Naza. Is your mic on?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So is it possible to turn it off a bit? I think it's echoing.
Turn it off. Okay.
Yes. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think this works. Oh, wow. It's still echoing. I guess it's from. Hi, Rosemary. If you can hear me clearly, is it possible to turn off your mic? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so today we're going to be going right into the
Hi, Drama.
conversation.
Thank you.
Hi, Rosemary, so good to have you here. Good evening.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I can't turn on my this thing. Just give me like in the
Your
next 10 minutes. So,
camera.
so my camera, yes, in the next 10 minutes, I'll be able to do that.
All right, it's okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. All right. So we're going to go right into the cruise of today's conversation. And one of the first questions I asked those who joined us, on Wednesday and on Thursday, the first question I asked them was, what was that point or that major factor that helped you to accelerate in your journey to the current stage you are? Because, like I always say, success is not actually a destination, it's a continuous journey. So I believe that each and every one of us is still on the journey, but there is something that has brought you thus far. And what has been that major point? What has been that major breakthrough, that thing that brought you to this current stage, such that people now look at you and like they are inspired, they are motivated, they see some level of growth in you? So we're going to be starting with Tonia. Hi, Tonia, can you hear me? Please turn on your mic and take it off.
Yes, I can hear you. So I'm going to say that consistency actually helped me to be where I am today. When I joined LinkedIn, I started my journey from LinkedIn, build my personal brand on LinkedIn. I started everything on the platform. So now, when I joined the platform, I struggled with consistency for a few months, right? For 2 months, I struggled with consistency. Then I had to ask myself simple questions. I had to be self aware that this is where I need to improve. These are the areas that I need to work on. I need to be consistent. And for me to be consistent, I need to work on my mindset, right? So I need to work on my mindset. So I think about not doing things that I'm meant to do that can put me in the spotlight. So for me to be out there, I need to be consistent. And for me to be consistent, I need to talk to myself, my inner self. So I had this discussion with myself, and I was telling myself that, Tonia, if you're not on this platform, nobody will pay your bills. I mean, if you're just relaxing, nobody's gonna pay you. No, nobody's gonna save you, right? So I decided to put myself out there. And being consistent, from being consistent, I decided to track my performance. There's this thing with consistency. You can be consistent for years and follow the wrong strategies. You can be consistent for years and follow the wrong strategies. So for me to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, I tracked my performance. So through tracking my performance, I was able to discover that, okay, I need to work on my content, I need to work on my offer creation, I need to work on this, and I need to work on that. I need to put myself out there, I need to network more, right? But had it been I wasn't tracking my performance, I was just being consistent. I was creating content all the time, putting myself out there without knowing the areas that I need to improve on, then it's not gonna help me. I might not be here today to this level. I mean, might not be I will still be here, but not to this level of recognition and building my following to over 58,000 followers on LinkedIn. So that's, for me, consistency actually helped me a lot.
Fantastic. Good. So that's the point of consistency. And like I always say, when it comes to consistency, consistency doesn't actually mean doing something, but it means doing the right thing. So if you're doing something and you're not doing the right thing, you are actually just carrying out activity. It is not progress, it is not consistency. So in the course of consistency, you want to be sure that what you're currently doing is something that will propel your growth, so that you can be able to attain that point where you said, oh, truly I've accelerated to this level and now I can move to the next level. Thank you so much for that, Tonia. Now we're going to be moving this to Chinaza. Hi, Chinaza, can you hear me clearly? Okay, great. Can you hear me? Okay, so I can't hear you, Chinaza. Okay. Um, so we're going to be having two more persons on board. We're going to be having Ka. Ka is coming on board right away. So excited to have you here, Ka. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Uh,
Good evening. So good to have you here.
it's good to see your beautiful faces. So sorry I couldn't join on time. I just got back home and I saw your message. It was crazy today for me.
Wow. Wow. So thank you so much for the honor of having you. All right. So Rosemary is back. So hi, Rosemary. Okay, great. So Naza, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Beautiful. Please take it off from there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hi, Jonah. Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Good to be here. Yeah, it's so amazing. And hello to everyone watching. If you are not invited, go and get out of this conversation. So for me, what has helped me, or what is helping, is belief in myself. Okay, belief in my belief in it's
Okay. It's quite noisy. Can you hear me clearly? Hi, Chika. Um, Hi, Tonya. Is your mic on? Okay. All right, Naza, please take it off from there. It's quite noisy in the background.
okay. So what
Okay.
helped me, or what is helping me at the moment is belief in myself, right? So it's not like I did not know. You know, there are people that you meet like this and you know this one is going somewhere. This one is a treasure. But then it depends on that person to see in themselves what you see in them. And until they do that, there is a limit to how much they're going to apply themselves. There's a limit to how much of themselves they are going to bring out. So for me, for the longest time, even though people were saying, "Oh, Chinaza is doing so well," I knew that I was doing the barest minimum. Like the barest minimum. It was as if I was just breathing and I already had experience. And then I told myself, imagine Chinaza, you're not even doing much, and you have this, you can command this level of influence. So imagine if you actually sit down and put the proper structures, apply yourself proper. And I started doing that not long ago, actually. I started doing that and it opened some doors. Because when you say what the person can do, where you are is not necessarily where you are on social media. It is the level you're looking at, attaining that even the public may not be aware of. But because of how much I started believing in myself and I started doing certain things that I was afraid of doing before, or I was too scared or too shy to do. It opened certain doors to me right now that I knew would not have been open if I hadn't applied it, if I hadn't believed in myself enough. And because me applying myself was not believing, it was believing that I could actually do it. So when I started doing it, so it's one thing to have potential, it's another thing to even believe you have the potential. If you don't see the king in you, if you don't see the treasure that you possess, others will take advantage of it and hope that you don't ever recognize or come to the realization that you actually possess the treasure so that they can keep making demands of you. It's like a king being, I think it's Junabi that used to say that a king in honor or a man in honor who knows not, it's like the beast that perishes, right? So that was me. I was the king in honor. I was the man, and I didn't know, but know me now. And I'm doing what kings do. And taking on the attitude, the mindset that kings take on, it is a game changer for me. So I think for everyone, just discover it yourself. Discover, who is it, this self-discovery? It's not about knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. Discover your worth. Discover what you carry that you can give to the world. And if you ever be able to discover that and you believe in yourself enough, I don't think, I mean, the things that can stand in your way are very little.
Okay. Great. I think can you hear me clearly, Naza?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, beautiful. Okay, I hope I didn't cut you short.
No. I'd already finished.
Oh, okay, great. Fantastic. So Naza talked about discovering yourself and knowing who you are. This thing about self-discovery, I like to say that if you do not know yourself, people will tell you who you're not. Most times lose that ability to define who we are, and then we give that authority to people, and then people actually project what they think on us, and at the end of the day you find yourself walking in line with what they projected about you, such that you lose yourself and you take up the identity that they have of you. And so for anyone who desires to get the best of results, you want to accelerate in your journey, you should be able to tell yourself, this is exactly who I am. This is the extent to which I want to grow. And this is exactly how I'm going to grow. You must consider that part of self discovery. Thank you so much for that, Naza. We're going to be pushing this question to Samuel. Hi, Samuel. Good evening. So good to have you here.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you. Fantastic. Right. So the question we have for today is, or the first question we have is, what has been that major, point of growth, or what was that major area or moment that you got to that, you felt like I have actually discovered who I am growing, I'm getting the result, and what was the thing that propelled that growth?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everybody who is on the call. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you. And so, for me, basically, I would say that just really 1 hour ago, I was having a conversation with my friends here at the office, and I told them that look, there are certain things I can actually do right now that some 4 years ago would really have been difficult for me to do. For example, next month we're having our conference in Kigali, my international conference. And I told my friends, I said, you know what, now we're having conversations about partnership in thousands of dollars. And so our sponsorship package, the least amount is this $1,000, and we've booked flights, almost 1 million. And we're just having these conversations. And I told him, I said, some 5 years ago, for example, the highest amount of money that would be in my sponsorship package, would be maybe 100,000 naira. And we're talking about what is the missing link. And I said to him that the realization of the fact that we have grown is just a definition. And one of the major things I told them just 1 hour ago was the fact that when I discovered that my possibility quotient had enlarged. So I now start to think better now. There's a level of possibility I can think about. I told them, I said, you know what, the kind of dreams I have now have increased. And this is because I have discovered that one of the major drivers of this level of growth in my life, particularly, is number one, the connection that I have been able to build over the years, the connections. I've discovered that the people in my circle have now changed. You know, the kind of relationships I have, they've changed. So I have been intentional about meeting the right people. Since 2017, when I started my journey into leadership development, my networks have discovered that, you know what, I'm no longer the Samuel I used to be, because the kind of people I now have conversations with, they're now great people, people who are doing well in their own life. And number two, the realization that I have also been exposed to superior learning. Because one of the things I've discovered that catapults a man from where he is to where he is supposed to be is that he begins to know what he had not known before. And just as I wrap up, relationship, superior knowledge, these two things were the major. And that's why I want to say, because I'm a Christian, so most times I like to draw references from the scriptures. And there's one scripture that always makes so much meaning to me. And it was when Mary was pregnant, and the angel said, you shall deliver a child, somebody who had not known a man. And she said, how can that be? And the angel said something the next time. He said, Elizabeth is also pregnant. So when I was reading the scripture, I was asking myself, I mean, what's the connection between somebody who's pregnant and Elizabeth? And I discovered that Elizabeth was already pregnant before Mary, maybe 6 months ahead from scriptures. So when I saw that, I also saw that when she went to meet Elizabeth, for example, the baby in Elizabeth's womb leaped for joy. And so that's why I just want to also say to everybody listening to me, we must learn to stay around people that make our vision in the womb of our purpose to leap for joy. Because
Whoa, whoa.
I discovered that I got to a point where I started to meet people who began to make my idea shift. I would never have imagined that Samuel I would do programs here in Nigeria and the next time I'm going to do an international conference. It's because there are certain people who said to me, bro, you are ready for this move. You are fit to take
Mm-hmm.
this bold step. You are ready, but you have the capacity. One of my friends in the UK will always say to me, bro, the work you have done in this country, many people who are getting opportunities, they've not done as much as you have done. And the second thing,
Mm-hmm.
superior knowledge. These are the two things I discovered recently. And I was telling my friends in the office, I said, oh, Baba, see, we don't move. We have shifted. Superior learning. I've
Yeah.
been able to stay in room. Sometimes I will pay money, empty my savings just to attend a conference where I will be exposed to something I have never learned before. And that's superior learning. And everybody who is listening to me must also pay attention to these two things. And these were the two things I realized that actually changed in my life. Trust me, if a person's relationships have experienced a shift and their knowledge experiences a shift, I don't think any other thing can stop a person from growing. I think this is it.
Whoa, thank you so much for that, Samuel. We got that. Thank you so much. You know, the part where you talked about knowledge, you talked about superior knowledge. I like to say it's not just about getting knowledge, it's also about superior knowledge. Who are you submitting to? Who are you learning from? The problem is a lot of people get access to information. You get, like I say, that the success that we desire, the secret to the success is available in public domain. However, there is a methodology for that success, and the people you submit to would determine the methodology you would pick. And so whomever you are learning from would determine if you're going to grow or not. Thank you so much for that, Samuel. We got that. Thank you. Hi, Ka. Can you hear me this evening? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you, IJ. Can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on board. It was so good to have you here. So, one of the questions we're asking now is that what was that major point of growth in your life and your career? What propelled it? What was the point first? When did you know that you've gotten to that point of growth and acceleration? And then what propelled that growth?
Okay. At what point did I realize I've gotten to that point in my life? Well, that question is a bit confusing for me because it's not something that happened overnight. There was a process, and the growth, you know, happened gradually, and we keep growing. So
Mm-hmm.
I have never really thought about being grown. I've always seen myself as someone who is still growing.
Mm-hmm.
And as for what propelled it, well, I've always have passion to be someone who can provide solutions to issues. I don't like complaining about things. When I see problems, I like to be the one who will bring the solution. So because of that desire, I've always tried to work on myself, learn more things, and so that I'll be able to have what to offer at every point in my life. And then, I mean, we're all Africans. Responsibility, most of
Yeah.
us come from a very poor background. When you come from my kind of background, where a lot of people are looking up to you, you will be pushed, you'll be propelled to do everything within your power to stand out and be the bringer of change that everyone is hoping or waiting for. So there are lots of things that propelled my growth, and it's something that is bit by bit here and there. And when you put them together, you see how the growth came to be.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So, like I always say, there are so many perspectives to the issue of growth. And when we talk about success, we talk about growth, there are so many perspectives. And Kat came with another perspective. He said something that it is not something that happened at once. It has been a accumulation of various things, various moments, various activities, things that has helped him over the years and coming together to the point where he is. And like he pointed out, we have not really gotten to a point where we say we have grown. We can only say we are on the journey to growth, and we're so excited about this perspective. Thank you so much, Car. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be pushing this to Rosemary. Hi, Rosemary. Can you hear me clearly? Hi, Rosemary. Okay, so I can't hear Rosemary. So while we wait for Rosemary, I'm inviting you, if you're watching this, this is an invitation to YAMA Convention 2024 in
Hi,
Abuja.
IJ.
All right. Can you
I
hear me
can hear you.
clearly? Okay, great. Okay, I think there was a bit of glitch there. Okay. So while we're waiting for Rosemary to come on board, I am inviting you to YAMA Convention 2024 in the city of Abuja. And this is a reminder that you can join in person or you can join virtually, right? So let's just try to see how can you join in person. So let's get there. Fantastic. So good to have you back here again. So we're going to be moving to the next question while we wait for Rosemary to come on board. Hopefully she gets to sort the network glitch. All right. So the second question we have you experienced any point of failure in the course of your journey? And what has been the thing that helped you to navigate through that period? Most times we talk about failure. A lot of people have different perspectives to failure, right? But let us hear about your own perspective to failure. And then what has been the thing that helped you to navigate during the course of that experience? Hi, Naza. Can you hear me clearly? Please take it off from here.
Yes, I can hear you. That's an interesting question. Um, have I experienced any point of failure? The question should have been referred to which point of failure, because I think I personally believe that failures teach us more lessons than successes teach us. I mean, that's my personal opinion. So yes, I've experienced certain points of failure, but at every point in time, I have scaled through, not just by my own self-will, motivation, determination, not because I'm so resilient. I am, but for me, how I've scaled through the most was the support system I have. My support system, right? Um, I'm learning right now that so you don't have to do life alone. Humans, we are very social animals. We are meant to socialize. And whenever that social aspect of us is taken away from us, we are bound to get into lots of trouble. And troubles don't necessarily mean um, physical issues, but certain blockades, certain things that you would need help for someone to just sort out, but because you're just on your own, you're an island, you are stuck there. I recently was listening to Simon Sinek. He was saying about a lot. So So in the podcast, someone was talking about a new found that addiction, drug addiction, pornography addiction, any form of addiction. If we had, if we were more communal, addiction would be reduced to the barest minimum, like to the barest minimum. They used a study. In the study, they used mice, and they put a mice on its own, put clean water, put drugged water, right? And the mice, because it's the only mice and mouse, yeah, it drank the clean water, drank the drugged water, and community it became addicted to that. Now, what they did was they took the mice and put it in community, in another community, right, where there are other mice, put the same water, put the same drugged water. All of them actually tasted the drugged water. All of them. But the interesting thing was that they did not continue going back to the drugged water. Why? Because there was community. There were other things that they could share. There were maybe seeing an effect of this on this person. They would choose not to go back for whatever reason. The fact that there was more than one house in that cage proves that community is very important, right? And humans are fast losing it. So for me, that understanding is what I've been working for some time now. When I run into problems, I'm not afraid to tell my friend, I've entered and I need your help. And most times, the people in our
Yeah.
lives are very open to helping us. But some of us have played Mr. and Miss Independent for so long that,
Independent.
yeah, we just feel like we can do life alone, and we keep thinking. And so at every point where I have faced any failure, each of you know you're my very good friend. I've reached out to you, I've reached out to my other friends, and one way or the other, that's what it's solved. Even if it is not solved, gone, gone, there are words of encouragement will help me right through. If it's one that needs skills and facts, I shall have someone in my network to help me with that, right? So um, it's community for me. I support. I think I have the strongest, one of the strongest to say that.
Yeah,
As my friends stay from.
fantastic. Okay, can you hear me clearly, Naza? Okay, hi Samuel, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great, fantastic. So we from Naza. Naza said community. And there's something she said at the beginning. She said it's not just about which point of failure. She said which of the failures. She said which of the failures, which means that somebody said something on Wednesday, and that was Fidelis. Fidelis said that for most people, it is going to be 90% of failure and 10% of success. And so you can imagine that for there are people whom you're looking up to, you admire the level of growth they have ascertained, they've gotten to at this point. But something you must understand is that they didn't just get here by magic, or they have experienced something. They've experienced a good number of things that has brought them to this point. And so thank you so much for that perspective, Chinaza. Right, so we're going to move in this to Samuel. Hi, Samuel, can you hear me clearly?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So that question, what has been let's not say the major point, what has been a failure that you have experienced? Because just like Nazar said, she said which one. So what has been the failure that you have experienced, and how were you able to navigate that moment?
All right. So was there was one time in my life where one experience where I just really it was really a bad experience for me. So I can't really place recently, but then just one experience I just remember a few years ago when I was about rounding up from school. So I was already had built a couple of the influence in a certain level in school at the time. So I wanted to contest for the office of the SUG president, and I schooled in Futo, Owerri, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and there's this bias around that community that anybody who wants to contest for the office of the SUG president, you must be from Imo State. And then one thing about Samuel, for me, I would always defy the odds. It's something that characterizes me. I like to I like to disrupt things. I like to just go into a place and disrupt whatever was happening. I don't even care because of how I've been able to wire my mindset over the years. So I told everybody, I said, I don't care. I mean, who put the rule? It's just something that people came together and they said it. It's not in the constitution. And I'm just going to do it. I'm from Enugu State. And I began to push. I built a lot of influence. I mean, I think over more than 6,000 people were clamoring for me to win. I was very sure that even on the day of the election, I think few hours into the election, I was somewhere with my friends. We were drinking pepper soup, and drinking Coke and Fanta, and we were just celebrating that we were going to win the election. I was that confident, and it was very sure and clear that I was going to win. But I think at 4 p.m. that day, it was a particular 4th of October, 4 p.m., and then my friends called me because I was somewhere else, just relaxing, waiting for the result. And in that moment when somebody call you and say, and they start advising you when they call you. My friend called me and said, Samuel, you're a great man, you know. Samuel, you are a great guy. I said, Baba, I know I'm a great guy. What's up now? Have they called the result? He said, Samuel, listen, let me tell you something. I've seen the greatness in you, and I was just really. And they called the result and they said I had lost. Listen, I borrowed money around 500,000 naira to run that election
Wow.
because I was sure I was going to win. I even signed the document, and if I don't win, come and take some percentage extra. If you had
Wow.
seen me that period, I was so burned out. In fact, I was sick. If I opened my shirt and look at the mirror, I could see my ribs. I'm not joking. It was one of the most difficult moments in my life because I'd worked so hard for that. And I lost. I could not even imagine that I lost. You can imagine, I was depressed for 1 month. I was depressed. I had gathered a lot of influence, even though I failed. But something happened to me, just like you also asked the question, how was I able to navigate? I went back. So if you read the Bible, there's a boy called the prodigal son who left his father's house. I don't want to go into the story. When he squandered all the money, he lost everything. He was lonely and depressed. There's a place where the Bible says the boy came to himself. Is there. It says he came to himself and began to ask. So I came to myself and I began to ask myself, so Samuel, you people say you lost, but did you really lose now? So I began to draw out the advantage in my failure. That's why as I'm speaking, I'm also saying to everybody who is listening to me, there's an advantage in every failure. So I began to ask myself, what are the advantages in this failure? And so self-reflection was a major thing that helped me to navigate. So I said to myself, so I had lost the election, but I have a lot of influence and many people know me. And you know what? 4 months after, I
Mhm.
bounced back and I hosted the biggest public speaking event that ever happened in that institution. You know what happened? When I put out the flyer, many people attended just because they wanted to see my face. Oh, we heard this guy's name. You know this guy that contested for election, even though I did not win. And then that was it. And that was a breaking point for me too, because just few months after that, we had started to do a lot of work. And then just 1 year after, we hosted mega conference, self-shown, and discovery advanced failure. So that's why I don't see failures as failure. I see it as opportunities. Because one thing I'm just going to say as I wrap up with this question now is that we must always ask ourselves, where is the gold in this fire? Where is the gold inside of it?
Mm.
One story I will
Mhm.
just share. I was in JSS2 when something happened to me. I mean, one thing about me is that I talk too much. As a matter of fact, it's a
Mm.
problem that it was a problem for me many years ago. That those days in school, Ijoma, when they will write list of noisemakers, and sometimes some people used to
And
write
your
times
name is
10.
going to times two.
Times 10. My own
Yeah.
needs to be times 1,000 because I would never
Oh
stop
my
talking. Oh.
goodness.
And sometimes my teachers flog me in advance. Like during break, I
Oh
can just be
wow.
walking and they say, "You, Samuel, I know you will disturb my class later. Come here," and they flog me. It was a problem for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was a problem. One of my teachers came one time, we were having free period, and we were writing list of noisemakers. That day, I broke a plate in the kitchen. So I came to school angry.
Mm.
My mom beat hell out of me. And I got to school, I just rested my head on my desk. I was not talking to anybody. And when we were done writing the list, she came and she said, "Where is the list?" They gave her the list of noisemakers and she was flogging everybody. When she was done, she was looking at the list somehow, very funny. Like this, something is
Mm.
not adding up. One person is not
Mm.
here. And they said, "Where is Samuel?" First time in history, my classmates were defending me. Ah, ma, Samuel did not talk today. We are even surprised. We don't know what happened.
Mm.
And can you believe that she said it's a lie? Maybe he was talking, you people did not see him. There's no way that, but Samuel is who? And
Wow.
that was how she flogged me. But what I want to say with this story is that something was wrong with me before.
Mhm.
Talking was wrong with me. But what was wrong with me is now right with me. They used to flog me
Mhm.
for talking before. Now people even pay me to
Mhm.
talk. I was able
Mhm.
to call my light out of darkness. And that's why darkness is the guardian angel of light. So anywhere
Yes.
there's darkness, there's light there. There's potential for light. And so
Mhm.
for me, I always look for the light inside the darkness. Inside the failure, there's an advantage. There's something about it. It must not always be failure. It can be learning points. It can be opportunities. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you so much for that, Samuel. I caught two things. You know, the part where you say that something is a failing point or it's a mistake doesn't make that thing wrong. It could be that you are not doing it the right way. And for Samuel, it was actually talking, but he has gone to a point where talking became even more productive for him. And there's a part where he also said that for darkness to exist, there is a potential for light to come in. And so I like to say, you cannot light up a lighted room. For you to light up a room, darkness has already existed in that room. And so it's easy for you to become the light in a dark place. So if you're that person who is saying you want to just get to the top quickly, why are you not in the light? Why are you not in the spotlight? Understand that nobody would notice you light. But if you come into a dark place, your light, you become noticed. People begin to notice you. People begin to catch the fire because you came inwards with the light. You came in with something that they need. And so, for you to be relevant and for you to grow, you must understand that this journey of accelerating can come with so much mistakes, can come with so much failure. However, you cannot run away from this. You can only tell yourself that this is what I want to achieve. This is the point I want to get to. Now, every single step I am taking is streamlined towards that area, towards that destination, towards that point. And it is going to now be very easier if you focus on where you're going to. So if you're that person who is struggling with your journey, you are struggling with where you currently are, you're not sure, you're telling yourself that I have struggled so much, I don't seem to be getting the results. You want to ask yourself that question: what am I currently doing such that when I step into a place, people notice the value I come with? People are able to spot this value that I am embodied with. I don't know if somebody is catching this in the comments. I want you to put down one word you've heard from any of the speakers today. Let me know which of these speakers have said something that resonated with you. Let me see it in the comments. Right. So Cass said something. He said that he has not gotten to a point of growth yet where he can say he has grown fully, that is still a journey. And I pointed that out also earlier on. Samuel shared the story of how he was able to contest. I know there are people who also have similar stories like Samuel. I could remember back then in school, I wanted to launch a magazine, and then I did mass communication in diploma, right? And one of the things I hear people say is, you're launching a magazine. What do you want to use it for? How can you fund it, right? And I trusted myself so much, and we set out for sponsorship. Do you know that that magazine was published with the entire fund that was gotten through sponsorship? My 1 naira did not enter into the publication of that magazine. So you can imagine how determined I was at that point. I wasn't taking no for an answer, right? And so today, when people say things and they're like, are you sure it's going to be possible? I would always say, if I was able to do this back then in 2016, why wouldn't I be able to do something even bigger this time? So you want to also ask yourself, what is that point that you currently are, that you're struggling with, such that you feel that you cannot grow, you cannot get to the point of acceleration, you cannot get to the point of, marking some results? What are you currently doing? What is the mistakes? What are the failures you're experiencing now? What can you do with those mistakes and failure? Are you such person who makes a mistake and you just go to bed and you're crying, you're wailing, and then you say, I'm not doing again? Are you that kind of person? Or are you the person who makes a mistake and you go back and tell yourself, this mistake that I have made, okay, good and fine. How can I ensure that I get better? How can I ensure that I get better results such that I don't make the same mistake again? I like to say that it is an error to make the same mistake that somebody else has made. And so you now want to look out for people also in your industry, people in your field, people in your community that are doing the same thing that you want to do. How can you learn from those people? How can you leverage their knowledge? How can you leverage their experience in order for you to grow? There are a whole lot when it comes to growing and accelerating in your career, in your business. But the one question you want to ask yourself today is, where am I currently? And what do I do? Or what can I do to ensure that I get to this point of acceleration such that people look at me and see the value that I have inside of me and able to reward me? I like to teach this thing. I like to say, you need to be recognized. Your value needs to be recognized. Then it needs to be appreciated before it gets rewarded. A lot of you want to get rewarded. You have not placed yourself in places where you'll be recognized. You've not met the people that would recognize that value you have inside of you, that would appreciate the value. You are not showing up for us to appreciate that value. We don't know what you're doing. You hide within, the cubicles of your house. You hide so much that we don't even know how much value you embody. So if you want to be rewarded, you must, number one, you must be recognized. That value must be recognized. I must look through you and see the value that you embody. Number two, I must appreciate the value. I must say, oh my goodness, this is something I want. This is good. I have not made up my mind to reward you at that point, right? But I have said, this is good. This is something, this is profound. And then number three, can I work with you? How much do I pay you? Where can we have you on board as a speaker? These are areas that you must pay attention to. You don't just jump from 0 to 1 to 5. You jump from what? 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. You must have your value recognized, appreciated, and rewarded. Thank you so much. I just needed to point that out. All right. Hi, Naza. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, so I can't hear you, and it seems there's a bit of glitch on your end. Can you hear me? Let me also know in the comments if you're catching value. Let me know if somebody is getting the value that we have shared here so far. Point out something that you have learned in the comment section. Let me put it up. Let me put it up. Good. Okay. All right, Chikaluba say, see value as opportunities. Look for the gold in every fire. Exactly. All right, Helen said, there is potential for light in darkness. Absolutely. All right, Chikaluba said, darkness is the guardian angel of light. Call your light into darkness. I got that. I got that. Right? Florence says, your value needs to be recognized, then appreciated before it can be rewarded. I hope somebody is catching this fire. So you don't just step out. By the time I meet you at the event next week, Saturday, you should be ready to now say, this is the time to accelerate because we have prepared you over time. So you don't just come there and think it's just, we're inviting you for an event to come and catch some fire and get magic results. We're preparing your mind for what you will get, such that when you get that knowledge, that superior information that we're going to be sharing at the main event, you would combine all that you have learned from here and run with it such that you begin to get results. Hi, Naza, can you hear me clearly now? Okay, can you hear me clearly? So I think Naza has some glitch with her network. So let's just go right into the next question so that as she comes on board, we will be able to follow through with that. So the next question I have is, and which I already asked other people in the course of this session, is if you meet somebody who has not attained clarity or desires clarity, what would be the first thing you would tell that person?
Okay, I didn't get, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So if you meet somebody who is struggling with clarity and the person is saying, I don't know how to get started, I don't know where to get started from, right? What would be the first thing you would tell that person for someone who desires clarity?
Okay, so should I go ahead with that?
Yeah, sure. Please go on.
Okay. All right. So if I meet somebody who is struggling with clarity, what am I going to say to them? Okay. So basically, what I'm just going to say to anybody who's struggling with clarity is that they need to first of all connect the dots, you know, backwards, because many times as individuals we want to do things based on what is present now. So and that's why I have seen that so many young people like myself in our generation, they change vision every year. For example, today Amazon KDP is trending. Some people say they are now expert, they are now that's their calling. The next minute AI is trending, and some people say oh, they are now AI could shift their vision to that. You see, there's a lot of identity crisis here and there. And this is because many people have not really found their real essence. And then what I'm just going to say, connect the dots backward. This is what I did when I also started my journey. You know, connecting the dots backward means going back to see some of the things that you naturally would express when you were much younger. And we neglect this a lot. And that is why I like to say I've discovered that children don't do eye service. You know, children are real. I mean, they are natural people. If a 2-year-old child is just before you and you say to them, I hate Uncle John, for example, the next day when the child sees Uncle John, they're just going to ask Uncle John, why does my mommy hate you? I mean, they didn't really, they just want to ask. They're curious, that's how they are. They're real and they're natural. And I discovered that many times our true essence is in our child. But we abandon our child and we are now trying to chase the champion. So every champion has a potential in a child that was neglected. Just like me, I use myself as an example, just as I shared my story just before this question, where I said that talking was a problem for me. And now today, what was a problem for me, it was when I got into the university, I discovered that actually talking, I started to connect the dots backward. And I discovered that leading and talking came naturally for me. I used to win debates in school when I was in primary school, secondary school. I began to now reflect and connect the dots. Naturally, I would just be the guy who just wants to go and read something in the assembly ground. I was class prefect many times. I was timekeeper in SS1. I was outstanding. I was senior prefect. Those things, I did not really pay attention to them. But at the point where I was discovering myself, I now began to connect the dots backward. And that's also what I'm going to say to everybody who's listening to me. Connect the dots backward. This is because connecting the dots backward is also part of the process of also discovering a great vision. Just like Miles Monroe would say, that vision is foresight based on insight with the benefit of hindsight. So it's also part of it. Because the truth is, our child sometimes has the unique gifts and talents that we neglect. So imagine for a moment if when I was 5 years old and somebody looked at me and spotted that this child has a charisma for leadership. He's just naturally charismatic and he likes to talk too much. Probably I would have not studied mechanical engineering because I studied mechanical engineering for 5 years. Trust me, I'm not engineering any machines. Right now, I'm engineering human minds. Though. But you see,
Mm-hmm.
probably I would have not wasted my time studying engineering. Maybe I would have studied counseling, or I would have done mass communication, or maybe international relations, or public something. You see, because nobody saw the talents in my child. And now I'm a champion now. I want to do the things that champions do. Even in the Bible, Jesus at the age of 12 was already arguing with leaders in the temple.
Hear me like,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay,
So
great.
Jesus at the
You
age of
go on.
12, Jesus at the age of 12 was arguing with leaders in the temple. That was that. So just imagine if everybody tried to shut it down. And you see, the child in him manifested his gifts. So connect the dots backward. Many of us, I understand that nobody pointed us to clarity. Nobody pointed us to our unique gifts while we're growing up. But I'm just going to say to anybody who's struggling with clarity now, connect the dots. Maybe you can actually start to realize some of the gifts you manifested naturally that nobody really drew your attention to. Those things are the things that will be pointers for where you want to be. Those things will be pointers. They might not be exactly what you should be, but you will see some pointers here and there that you really should put together and then evolve into something beautiful. And I think that's just what I'm just going to say.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
that, Samuel. We got that. I like to
I can't hear you.
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, so sorry about that. Okay, so I love the part where you talked about understanding that where you're currently going to, that it's not something you get all at once. Clarity, like I said, is a journey. And as you keep going, you keep learning, you keep picking up the mistakes, and you keep pushing. Thank you so much for that, Samuel. Hi, Tonya. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Beautiful. So we're going to just go with two questions now. The first question is, failure that you experienced in your journey and how did you navigate it? And then the second question is, if you meet somebody who is unclear, who that person?
Sorry, come again. I think the line is
The
breaking.
first question. Okay, the first question. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. So the first question is, if you in the course of your journey, yes, what has been that point of failure that you've experienced, or that moment of failure you've experienced, and how were you able to navigate it? Then the second question is, if you meet somebody who is struggling with clarity, what's the first thing you're going to tell that person?
All right. Thank you so much for for this question. And yeah, Samuel, I resonated with what you said about your limiting belief when it comes to speaking, right? I also experienced that. I experienced it. And I'm going to answer these two questions. I'm going to answer it once. So my point of failure was actually when my account got restricted on LinkedIn. I was doing very well. All of a sudden, my account was restricted for 4 months. It was a reoccurring issue. And I've been on the platform for 3 years plus, going to 4 years. I've been on the platform for long. So when my account got restricted, 2 years of being active on LinkedIn, that was when I gained clarity. After 2 years of doing social media, of doing a lot of things, that was when I gained clarity on my journey. Right. So how did I gain clarity? When my account was restricted, right, I decided to build on. Samuel, can you hear me? All right. So when my account got restricted, I decided to build on Twitter, right, to start from
Yeah, I
Twitter
can hear
and
you.
start building up again, right. And when I thought about my messages, my core messages on LinkedIn when I was very active, I realized that I had been doing rubbish. I have been doing rubbish because back then my core messages were focused on LinkedIn talks because these are the things that are moving on LinkedIn. Whenever you create content on how to grow on LinkedIn, how I was able to grow on LinkedIn, how I was able to do this or how I was able to do that, as long as you connected it with LinkedIn or you connect it with LinkedIn, they're going to promote the content and people will like it. So when I got on the platform, a lot of people are doing it and I
Okay,
was
so
so comfortable. You can hear me, right?
can you hear me, Tonia?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
All right. So when I was very active on the platform, right? Like, during my beginning days, I was so focused on talking about LinkedIn. I was creating content about LinkedIn. I'm a social media manager, and then I was just talking about LinkedIn. I was not even talking about any industry topics because these are the things that are moving on. People engage more with LinkedIn
I think
content,
can you
but
hear me,
these are not my.
Samuel?
Yeah, sure, I can hear you very well.
All right, so this, these were not like LinkedIn wasn't part of like it was actually part of my message, but oh my gosh, part of my message, but not the way I talk about it. Like the way I talk about it, every time is just about LinkedIn, LinkedIn this, how to grow on LinkedIn, how to do this on LinkedIn, right? So when my account got restricted, I wanted to build on Twitter and I started asking myself questions like, how am I going to start? What should I talk about? Should I create content on Twitter and talk about LinkedIn? Because people will check me out on LinkedIn and they will not find me on LinkedIn because my account got restricted, right? They're not going to find me on LinkedIn. So when I asked myself all these questions, I started getting clarity on a lot of stuff. Like LinkedIn is just a platform. So talking about LinkedIn, it means that I'm promoting another person's business. It's not part of what I do. Yes, it's part of the services I offer to my clients. But the big part of the what I do is not just LinkedIn. It's building a personal brand. It's building a personal brand. So when it comes to that aspect of core messaging, my brand identity, I struggled with it. Defining your brand identity, defining mine was a very big challenge. I struggled with it for 2 years until my account got restricted. It took me 4 good months to refine my approach, to think about everything I've been doing for long, like my own identity. So when I got back on the platform, I stopped talking about LinkedIn. I don't create content on how to grow on LinkedIn. You can find all those things on Google. You can find any details about LinkedIn on Google. So the kind of content that I create now, they are based on my experience. My thoughts is something that you can never copy. You can never copy from me. You can't find it anywhere. It's just my thoughts, my own idea. Now, the way I will explain personal branding to you will be different from the way Ijoma will explain it to you because we all have our own experiences building personal brand. My own definition of personal brand is actually different from hers, right? So getting to understand all these things actually helped me to gain clarity, to know that for me to I need to reposition and to know my core messages, to also choose my core values. Core values are so very, very important. The biggest mistake I made on during my career when I was still building up was taking more clients. Taking more clients. You need to know your core value. If your core value is high quality work, then you need to know your capacity, your own limits. How many clients can you take and satisfy? Like you can give them quality work because your reputation is everything. So then I was so focused on making money. I was making money, yes, but I had a lot of burnout situations and I was not giving my clients quality results. Until when I realized that, okay, I think I need to go back to the drawing board. I need to choose my core values so that I can be able to provide quality work to my clients. So then I decided to choose few clients. I started working with just three. Now working with these three for years, I was able to give them quality results. Now, these quality results, I had them on my portfolio and I used them to get big client, my next big client. So, focusing on your core values and your core messages, they're very, very important. You need to know all these things so that we can gain clarity. And when you start thinking about it, when you start thinking about your industry topics, when you start thinking about things that you're currently doing and how does it align with where you are going, you realize where you notice where you are missing behind, like what you need to work on, where you are lacking behind. You notice a lot of stuff only if you are willing to work on it, because it's all about when you identify, if you're self-aware of something, the next thing is to take action. It's not to wait, is to seek solution. You can reach out to people to guide you. You can reach out to maybe your mentor, anybody to put you through. That's why being in the right circle is also very important. The people that you associate yourself with is very, very important. Have friends that empower you, have people that will help you to grow. Attend events. Don't be an indoor person. Don't give yourself, don't stop making those excuses for yourself. Go out there, connect with people, connect with you. It's very, very networking is very, very important. It changed my life for good. So it can also do the same for you. So these events that's happening in Abuja, you should be there. You should be there. You're going to connect with a lot of people. It's going to help you. Uh, Make sure that you're connecting with people in the right way. Actually, like connect, get contacts, save their number, message them later. If the person is actually in your location, you can meet up sometime and talk about other things aside from business. Getting to know people is actually very important. So I would say that these are the things that I've actually my failures and how I was able to gain clarity, thinking about my core messaging and my core values actually did everything for me. Um Samuel, do you have any other thing to say while we wait for Ijema to come on board?
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so you've just really shared a lot of amazing stuff in just a few minutes. And you talked about core messaging. It's very, very important. Understanding your core, is very, and that's where a lot of young people miss it. A lot of leaders too, they're not able to define what their core is. And it all boils down to the fact that so many people are not really conscious about building depth, going deep into discovering. What is the how to create real value from what you do, and it's very, very important. Because I've been talking about it recently that one of the problems that we have in this time, in this all of these industries and everything, is that so many people, want to replace other people by becoming them, you know. So we don't have authentic people anymore like that. Because it's very convenient to become somebody else. It's very convenient. It's very easy to become somebody else right now. All you just is to just look at what they do and copy them. But the
Yeah.
truth is, the people who are going to last who are going to play the long term game, people who are going to stay on course, who are going to build generational wealth, who are going to stay, build whatever is going to last even when they are not there, are the people who are authentic enough, people who create real, the authentic vision, who understand their real message, such that even when a lot of people are doing all that they do, you are not easily moved by the wave of evolution or change, because what you do is already your major core. And that's very important. So that's why when a tree is not deeply rooted into the ground, any storm can fall the tree,
That's
because
true.
what gives a tree life is the roots. So we admire the fruits. We buy a mango, we admire the mango, we admire the orange, we admire the, whatever. But the truth is, that tree blossoms and is beautiful because there's a root that's in the ground that gives it life. So we need to go back to build our roots to be strong. It's just like a foundation. And just this is just a message to everybody who is also watching. Build deep roots. So every trend would not have to push you off course. So some people don't have anything to teach. They just wait for a trend and the trend becomes their topic. Some people don't have anything to say. They just wait for one Bobrisky trend or very dark man, and then the next thing they're talking about it. And that's their message for a week. Or one pastor is trending, they're talking. No roots. Anything can fall you away. And you know what that does? It makes your audience, you don't build any strong audience with that. Because one of the things that actually grows audiences, or one of the things that builds community or tribe faster and better, is that people can connect to your message. People can even
Yeah.
look at you and say, when I look at Tonya, for example, I know who she is, I know what she does at their fingertips. When somebody says Samuel, oh, this guy is a leadership guy, leave him, he's a leadership. When people now come talk about other people, some people don't even know what to say about them. You are a business person, but we don't really see the depth of what you do in business. We don't really see the depth of your conversations in it. And this is really a challenge for me. And that's why I've been preaching authenticity, building roots, and depth. Very, very important. Because you know what? Disruptions happen every time. In 2020, we were disrupted by the COVID-19. Nobody prepared for it. It came just like that. Boom, we saw it. Businesses had to close. Classrooms were shut down. Nobody would go to the mall. Nobody could go to the church anymore. We had to now prioritize online learning. So you see, disruptions happen, but only the people who were able to think and innovate new solutions were now able to do business. So you see, that's how we know if you really have expertise in what you do. And you cannot be an expert if you don't spend time to build depths. For example, the fashion designers who were wise now discovered that they could sell nose masks with Ankara designs. So all you need to do is to get a material, touch it to a nose mask, and it was now fashionable for people wearing nose masks with Ankara. That was innovative because certain people started to think, and that's that. I mean, that's the core of what I've been teaching recently, building depth and deep roots. Because if everything shakes your message, it means you never really understood your core. And that's it. I mean, it's really, very important. So for you, what would you say to people who, I mean, what people who really are building something, but it looks as though their efforts are not yielding any results? What do they need to change?
All right. I would say that you have to think about what you're not doing.
Mm,
Sometimes it might look like you're doing everything, but there's something that you are missing. And when you look at your framework, the current framework that you are using, you realize that something is actually missing. It might be something small that you just need to like, maybe just like a comma or something. You just need to like put it there and it will align very well. So I would say something about being authentic from my own journey and experience. When I started on LinkedIn, I started from nothing, right? I started from during my final days in school when I was doing my final year clearance. So I struggled with a lot. I had limiting beliefs. I had things that were holding me back. And one of them was I have been in the village, but right now I'm not in the village, but I have been like in the village of my life, like Anambra State, like my state. I've been there all my life. Not like a village, it's actually a town, but I've been there all my life. I'm not moving anywhere. I was like, well, that was one big thing that actually like it hindered my success at the beginning. But then when I started connecting with people, I started having calls with a lot of people. I started connecting with people from different countries, UK, Germany, through LinkedIn. I started having discussions, like talks with them. I realized that I'm not the only one with a demon. Everybody is actually fighting something. There's something that you are struggling with. Even the English language I thought was actually a big one for me. I realized that many white people don't know how to speak English very well. It's actually a skill that at some point you have to learn it. It's not your first language. So there's nothing, you don't have to be afraid. As long as you can speak in a way that people will hear you and they will understand. It means that you're communicating. So I said all those things that I thought were limiting beliefs, they are no longer limiting beliefs because of the connections I have built through connecting with people, having calls with them, getting to know about the experience. That's why I said networking is very important. Sometimes it's not just about business, transactional relationship. When you connect with someone, trying to get to know them, you learn something that you think might be hindering you, or somebody can even offer advice that can help you change your life forever. I'm telling you the truth, change your life forever. So, so through that way, I was able to think about these things. I wrote them down. Those things, because another thing is write. I love to write. I write things down. If I'm struggling with anything, I'll just write it down so that I will always remember. I will not forget. I don't have to think, oh, whenever you ask me a question about that, I'll be able to give you the answer that, oh, this is what I'm struggling with. Because I can write it, I wrote it down, where I can see it or where I can find it. So I will not forget. Right. So it's actually helped me to be accountable. Self leadership is very important. I will keep saying this thing. Self leadership is one of the highest, the top skill that you can have in life. If you have everything and you cannot hold yourself accountable, my dear, you are missing a lot. When I see people struggle with consistency, or when I see them struggle with yeah, it's okay to struggle with all those things, but I think you have not really asked yourself the right questions. You have not really tried to communicate with your inner self. You don't talk to yourself, right? So self leadership is everything. It actually helps me to refocus, to be consistent, to think about my approach, to think about what I need to do next. If I need to get a coach, a mentor, or if I need to get a new skill, right? If I'm not putting myself out there, if I'm not holding myself accountable, whenever I make any mistake, I'll know that okay, I have to admit it. Yes, I messed up. So how do I solve this? So I'm not saying that having a leader, a mentor, a coach is not important. It's important. It's important, but sometimes you have to be honest with yourself. When those people are not there, what are you going to do? Will you just sleep and let everything just go to waste, or are you going to hold yourself accountable and keep pushing forward? So something that she did it for me as well. And being authentic, right? Authenticity is also something that helped me when I started communicating in a way that people understand, and in a way that my personal stories. When I started sharing my stories and thoughts on LinkedIn, that was how I was able to build my own community very fast. I was able to grow my community very fast. I was able to connect with a lot of people because I was putting myself out there, putting the right message, sharing my thoughts, my personal stories. I was able to build my own community. If you check my page on LinkedIn, even some of my videos, I don't just post content on social media or personal brand. I also talk about my business because I'm a farmer. I'm a poultry farmer, right? I have a poultry farm. So I also talk about my business, that part of me that people don't know. I share my content, Sometimes I'll even sweep my farm, like I can make a video when sweep, like a B-roll videos when sweeping my compound, and I'll edit it and post it on LinkedIn. So all those kind of content actually helps me to connect with a lot of people because they'll DM me trying to know who is this girl, who is this Tonya. And a lot of people, a lot of people think that I'm a wife material because of because I'm a wife material, but because of the content,
Yeah, sure you
how
are.
yeah, because of how authentic the content is, people started thinking a lot of stuff. I mean, a young girl, she's sweeping, she's doing a lot of that. And no, don't think that. I'm still good, but then that's not, that's just part of it. So you need to be just be you, do your thing, right? Do your thing, be in the right circle, be in the right circle. No excuse. Travel to connect with people. This year, my new year resolution, like this year I made one decision that I'm gonna show up no matter what. Now showing up is not just online, in person, showing up in person. So I've traveled to different cities just to be there, just to network, just to talk to people, just to learn from others, and it have actually helped me even with this inflation that is happening. I mean, a lot of things, the events I've the programs I've attended, I got to learn something that I might not even know in the next 3 years. People that I've connected with, and some of these events I paid, right? Some of them, none of them were actually free. Because even if the program itself is actually free, I also had to pay for transportation and also my accommodation and everything. But then the value, the knowledge I got from there, oh my god, it was much. So you think of I will leave it to you to, you're watching us right now. You just have to write down the things that you need to improve on. Think about your progress. Think about where you want to be in the next 5 years. Even if you can even start with 1 year, because that 5 years is actually, it might be long, but you can start with 1 year or even in the next 6 months. I want to see myself doing this, and you keep moving. Pay for proximity, sacrifice, because this thing is also about sacrifice. You need to sacrifice a lot. I sacrificed a lot when I was in school, when I was starting my personal brand. I had to even use my last card to take studio picture. I will never forget that day. I had to use my last money to take studio, and I was even posing like I had another one in my bank account, but that was my only money, like my only last card. So now that those pictures that I took got my next client, like through those pictures, I was able to attract my next clients. Imagine if I did not take all those pictures. So if you're looking to work with a CEO, you have to look like one. You have to your appearance matters. Your appearance matters a lot. It's part of the personal brand. It's part of investment that you should make. Yes, as a woman, as a man, it's part of investment. The way you dress is part of investment. So whenever you're thinking about what should I do, should I buy land? Should I do this? Should I invest in this business? Right? Think about also investing in your physical appearance. You cannot be looking to work with CEO and you're looking like, I don't know, but so you should be at their level, meet them where they are, so that you when you are speaking to them and you're charging them much, they will not even argue, they will not even stress, like they will even pay you because of your presentation, because of how you look, how you present yourself. And also self-confidence is everything. You can have all these things, good appearance, but if you're not confident enough to market yourself, to talk about your business, oh my goodness, then you need to work on it. I'm still working on mine. I'm still working on mine every day. And that's the result of putting yourself out there. Once you're out there, you will discover a lot of things. So clarity, you meet clarity along the way. Like if you're on your journey, you meet clarity. Clarity on different things. It's not just on one thing. It's not just on your career. You cannot just sit and seek, look, I want to get clarity. I just need to gain clarity. But you're not working towards that thing that will help you to gain clarity. I don't know if you're getting my message, but you have to be on that journey. You have to work on that role for you to gain clarity, for you to gain the experiences that you need to ask yourself the right question and put yourself through it. Okay. Some I think this is I've said it all. I don't know why we wait for IJ to join us back.
You have said you have finished work, and I've just been getting all of the value. You have done justice to it. Yeah, so you talked about people preparing, being really prepared for opportunities, which is very key. And I picked that one. Yeah, preparing for opportunities, getting ready, you know, getting branding yourself up effectively even before opportunities come. So it's very important. Um, yeah, Tonya, can you hear me? I think the network is gone. Network. All right, so I guess I'm the only person who's here now. Mm. Okay, so just in case you can still hear me, I guess, but just in case you can hear preparation, and I just like to place emphasis on that. We must learn to prepare for opportunities. All right, thank you. We must learn to prepare for opportunities because if you don't prepare for opportunities, when opportunities come, it will shine on your weakness. And if opportunities shine on your weakness, it's not going to be a good thing. So you must prepare for opportunities. Cross your T's, dot your I's. Every single thing about you at every point in your life must be top notch. I mean, the way you speak, the way you dress, just like Tonya also mentioned. I like to draw a reference from the Bible when Joseph was in the prison, he interpreted the dreams for the other prisoners. He interpreted the dreams, and when he was done interpreting the dream, he said to them, he said, please, when you go out of here, don't forget to tell the king about me. Just don't forget to mention me or something like that. Many years after, he was not mentioned, but then I think the situation was warranted his presence, because there's a dream that the king needed interpretation for. When I was reading that scripture in the Bible, when the king sent for Joseph, when the Bible says when he came out of the prison, the first thing he did was that he shaved his beard and changed his garment. So the king sent for him, but he shaved his beard and changed his garment. So before he went to stand before the king, he had to prepare himself for that opportunity. And just really,
Okay.
really, um,
Hello.
okay, okay, Dita, you're back.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I was actually watching behind the scene, but I had a struggle
Oh,
coming on board here. Thank you so
okay.
much. Please, you are still saying something. Let me just give it up to you
Oh,
so we can round up.
yeah, sure. So I was saying that Joseph, he had the competence to interpret the dream, but that was not the only thing that mattered to him. Because I mean, the king needed him, the king needed the dream to be interpreted. They needed his competence, and he was competent. But when he got out of prison, the first thing he did was that he shaved his beard and changed his garments. So, if you must appear before your king, you must appear like a king. You must change your garments. Now, you must put away certain bad character. You must put away certain things that will not be needed in the presence of your king. The king there is the opportunity. Is the opportunity to stand out. Is the opportunity to define your life. Is the opportunity to become something very, very unique. So if kings like to associate with people who think like kings, shaving the beards and changing the garments is symbolic. It means that you are putting away certain bad attitudes, certain old patterns, putting away certain old perspective. And it's very important. And just everybody listening to me now, you must get to the point where you start to look like the opportunities you are preparing for. You know,
Mm,
oh, many times
mm,
we want global opportunities, but we don't have passports. Why? But you are praying for global opportunity. Many times we are saying we need an increase in our business. We need business deals that will change our lives. But your account is still a student account you opened in the university. Why? You see, we must prepare for opportunities so that opportunities don't shine on our weakness. And so we don't frustrate the graces upon our life or frustrate the opportunities available for us. And it's very important. I just had to, we and Tonya were having a conversation. I just had to mention that for everybody listening,
yeah.
so they can prepare for opportunities so that they can really, when opportunities come, you can hijack it. Because opportunities come every second. Each opportunity just needs a perfect utility. That's all.
Mm. Thank you so much for that, Samuel. It was so amazing. I was catching the rainbow at the back end, and I'm so glad that I'm able to come back right here. Thank you so much for even leading on, even when I was not here. And thank you so much to also Tonia for taking this up. Thank you so much for today's session. I don't know if there are questions. If you have questions, please let me see it in the comments. For now, I want to invite you once again to YAMA Convention 2024 happening in the city of Abuja, and it is for you whether you want to attend in person or you want to attend virtually, right? So this is what you need. It is happening on the 2nd of November in Abuja, 8 a.m. Get yourself to this venue, get your ticket. We are getting almost inquiries of when are we going to end the ticket sales. Get your ticket now that you can, so that you can be a part of this. Our speakers are ready. Every one of them will be on site that day, and I hope that you catch this fire. Thank you so much to all our speakers for this pre-conference series. It was an amazing period. Thank you so much to Joyce, Fee, Deborah, Hollis, Tonia, Samuel, Chika, Val, Blessing, Rosemary, Ka, Chinaza, Fidelis, Gloria, and Nonso. Thank you so much to every one of you. And we hope that this would be a propellant for anyone who needs to grow. And yes, that someday somebody will say, because I listened to this person, I was able to start my own journey. Thank you so much. And to every one of us, yeah, to have a wonderful night rest. And I'm trying to see if there are more questions, but since there are no questions, we would call it a wrap. Thank you so much, Samuel, for being here. And do have a wonderful night rest. I appreciate you. And for me and my team, we are wishing you a beautiful night rest. Do have a wonderful evening and stay blessed, right? See you in Abuja on the 2nd of November. Peace.